Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Stani Army verdict, Pakistan versus South Africa, the Test series review. Today, here with me, I have the Doc.
Hello, assalamualaikum everyone. How are we doing?
I have Omar
Assalamualaikum.
and Hamza.
Walaikum salam, everyone.
How are we doing, everyone? So, who would have thought 2 to 3 weeks ago we're going to be sat here 2-0 against the first Senate country to come to Pakistan after, 10, 11 years? Or even longer than that, wasn't it? From a Senate country point of view, who would have thought we'd be sat here celebrating a 2-0 victory? Did you think that, Doc?
Well, obviously, all of us, because we're all such massive optimists that we all thought that we were going to win the Test Series 2-0 and the T20s 3-0. No, to be honest, I don't think we thought it was going to be a clean sweep. And in the end, some relatively comfortable margins. If you look at just on paper, obviously, I'm sure we'll go into more detail, but 7 wickets and 100 runs, I think the final game was, looks quite simple on paper, but obviously it was a lot tougher than that, and some pretty entertaining cricket. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure if there were neutrals watching, I thought it was quite good cricket as well.
Yeah, it kind of went up and down, didn't it? I mean, when I sent out a tweet yesterday, I described it as an emotional roller coaster because it wasn't one-sided. It kept going back and forth, didn't it? Omar, yeah, what did you make of that first test?
Hulk, how long have you been watching Pakistan cricket?
I have been watching them just trying to calculate it now, for about almost 30 years.
So, did you not expect it to go up and down, up and down?
Bro, when everyone was doing doom and gloom, in the first test and the second test, I was the one that was saying, I've seen it all before. You just need one wicket, and one wicket, and that's going to bring 6, 7, 8 more.
You weren't wrong, but yeah, like you said, up and down, and gladly for once. It seems like, how long has it been since we won a test? It seems like so long since we won like a test series against a decent side. But yeah, like you said, up and down, but we got over the line.
Yeah. West Indies in 2017, probably.
Yeah, Miss Barn Eunice's last series.
Yeah, it's not West Indies away, I guess.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Hamza, what did you make of it? Having watched it over the past 2-3 weeks, and I know we've had some quite heated discussions about the selection, but we've always said that no matter who gets picked, we always support them 100% when they're on the pitch anyway. So what did you make of it overall?
Yeah, I think they overperformed in some ways. I thought I think I predicted 1-0. I thought the South Africans might hold out for a draw, but as it turned out, I think both sides were bowling heavy. So as the first test went on, you're just thinking, actually, I don't see anyone making 500 here, and this isn't going to be 500 versus 500. So once that happened, I think it did swing towards us, because I don't think their spinners are as good as ours. I think what was interesting is our seamers out bowled their seamers in the end. I think Rabada bowled quite well, tidily, without really penetrating. I think they troubled the openers, which isn't much saying much, right? Which isn't saying much. But it was actually Maharaj who caused a lot of the problems. We'll get to sort of Barbara's troubles with Maharaj eventually. But very happy that we won 2-0 in the end.
So Omar, you made a good point there about how long have I been watching Pakistan play, and the ups and downs and stuff. I just want to read out some numbers from the 2 tests. Pakistan 27 for 4, South Africa 175 for 1, Pakistan 22 for 3, Pakistan 76 for 5, South Africa 241 for 3. Now, if you haven't watched any of the games and I read out those numbers, there's no way you're going to be thinking that Pakistan have won. So it just shows that it's a testament to the character of the team. And to be fair to them, there are quite a few youngsters there as well. We've had Mohammad Wasim come in as a chief selector. We were all happy with the bulk of the selection, really. But for them to actually turn it around when in both games they could have wilted under pressure, and we've seen that before, haven't we? Haven't we, Umar?
Well, as you know, one too many times. But I think as much as we don't like the word, I think our experience came to the fore. I think Fawad gutting it out in domestic cricket for 15 years. I think in the end, obviously he scores, tell his own story. It got us out of trouble 2-3 times. So in the end, obviously, on home conditions, which we're not used to it. 10 years, 12 years in Dubai, we're not used to having favorable home conditions. And even though you can say, oh, we've been playing in Dubai for 10, 12 years, it's still not home. It's still foreign for us. And the pitches from Dubai to Pakistan are different. So it's probably taken our lads some time to get used to as well. But in the end, we got over the line, which is the main thing. And from that, it's only going to build confidence. Winning games, winning test series, that's what we have to do. And I think we've got a chance now to start building for over the next 2 years. I think we've got a favourable schedule. And I'd say we should look to win 3 or 4 series on the bounce now. I know it's probably being optimistic, but I think we need to start building. We need to start winning. Misbah said in an interview, I think it was yesterday, we want to be at least number 1 in one of the 3 formats in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think this is a chance. We've got Barber as a captain. Looks like he's a good captain. I hope we're going to go into that as well. But yeah, it's a good start, and let's carry on and build something good here.
Yeah, you make a really good point there, Omar, with regards to that. We're playing at home now. We're not having to play on those dusty wickets in front of no one. I know that obviously we have COVID at the moment, but when fans are allowed in, we'll have our own Pakistan fans, because there's been a generation that's actually missed out on their cricketers. All they'll have seen is posters up on a wall. In England here, we've been spoiled, really, haven't we, for the past 5-6 years? With Pakistan have been coming here every single year, but now that we're playing in home conditions. And I think that when I looked at who we're going to be playing over the next 2 years, the teams that we're going to be playing away, fair to them, they're not the highest ranked ones. The highest ranked ones are actually going to come over to Pakistan. You have the Australias, England, New Zealand. So, Doc, surely that's going to make a difference to us, and the only way is up now.
Yeah, we've got some of the more difficult teams, like you say, the New Zealands and Australias and England supposedly coming to Pakistan. Obviously, these are places where we've struggled. We've seen what happened in Australia the past couple of times we've been there. We saw what happened in New Zealand. So yeah, you would like to think we've got a favourable kind of set of fixtures at home. Away tours to, I think, Zimbabwe, West Indies, Sri Lanka. Their teams, I mean, we beat Zimbabwe last time, we won in Sri Lanka last time, and we won in West Indies last time. So, it's things are, from a scheduling point of view, things are looking okay. I just hope we would play more test matches. Just in terms of the sheer number of test matches, I wish we played more, but that's obviously another topic for another day. I would just very quickly point out, I saw one comment from Ryan about the Australia series in 2018. We missed that. I said West Indies was the last time. Australia was a big one, actually, and we beat them at home, didn't we? 1-0. So, yeah, did forget about that one.
Yeah, that was UAE, though, remember?
Yes. Yeah.
That was in UAE.
Okay, let me just go through some of the comments here. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Just go through these quickly. The Braves Hulkistan thought we're doing 3-0. Always. I'm always optimist. I don't know if you missed it, but we've actually got the great Jimmy Anderson who's logged in as well. Jimmy. Amazing game, an amazing over. I watched that over where you got those two bowled wickets where the stumps went flying about 10 times so far. Shazab joining in. Rayan, we've mentioned. Faisal says, Mubarak is very good series win. We still have issues with openers without Imam in. Very good point, and we will come to that shortly. Omar saying, salams, the middle order and the tail did really well from the positions our openers left us in. 100%. We've always spoken about, that whoever's numbers, basically 3 or 4, they're always coming in fairly early, 20 for 2, 20 for 3, takes us back to the Misbah years. And the openers have been plaguing us for quite a few years now. So, the numbers that I read out about 5 minutes ago, it's just very difficult, isn't it, for someone to come in and the ball's still moving around and you think to yourself, okay, the openers haven't done their job, Hamza. But, I know we've spoken at length again about the opener. So what did you make of our openers in the 4 innings that you saw over the past couple of weeks?
Well, we're talking a lot about balls spaced and taking the shine off the ball. Well, I mean, if that's all our intentions are and expectations are of the openers, then we've got Hanif Mohammed in Abid Ali. But if you it's in home conditions, you need to be doing more. In any conditions, it's not enough just to sort of hang around as an opener. There's no excuse as well. I've never accepted the amount of excuses people make for openers. You have sort of people. You just have to have a nice tight technique. And Imran Butt, the thing is, the tricky thing with him, he's such a good slip catcher, and you're just thinking, could he be like our John T. Rhodes? Like the batting carries him, but his fielding is just immense. So maybe we should persist with him. But the thing is, someone made the point that literally every season in the Qaeda Azam Trophy, he's barely averaged in the early 30s. It's just in the last season he had a golden spell and he averaged 60 something. Now, you can have guys who, when they get a sudden spurt of confidence, they suddenly start making runs. Now, to be fair, if you're a Pakistan Test opener, as long as you're averaging in the late 30s in your career, we can sort of accept that. 38, 39, if you look at historically, sort of Tawfiq Umar is someone who, I think he averaged about 38, 39 by the end of his career. A little bit underrated, I think. Then you've got Sami Aslam, who he's sort of jumped the ship at totally the wrong time. You've got open goal right now for anyone who's a good opener. And I think Sami Aslam's domestic record isn't amazing, but it's better than most. So Abid, I think we can please put that to bed. The guy's a rubbish fielder. He's totally been carried. Let's just move on from him now. And obviously, people will say, "Well, who's the alternative?" Well, once Imam's fit, he's no Saeed Anwar, but I would rather have Imam than Abid Ali any day.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll say in Abid's defense, we've spoken about Imran Butt's fielding. I think it was in the first Test match, South Africa's second innings. Abid caught some blinders at short. Was it Silimidov? He was one of the close catch fielders. So that's all I'll say in defense to him. But when he batted in the second Test, in the short innings that he had, he tried so hard to get out, and he had about 2 or 3 lives. But it'll be interesting to see what happens for the Zimbabwe series. I think one of the. So go on.
I was just gonna say in regards to Imran Butt. See, I was saying on the watch along that I'd keep him, but for the people that would like just looking at him, would you, if he plays in the Zimbabwe tour, is that helping or hindering? Because he's probably going to score some runs, but then looking long term, is that going to help or hinder us?
Doc, I'm going to go to you for that.
Yeah, I think it would help him because there's so much that comes with kind of stepping up to international cricket, not just the opposition, but obviously yourself feeling comfortable in your skin, feeling comfortable in that kind of Test environment around the other players. So I think it will help. I mean, we've seen quite a few players over the years. I think someone like Ian Bell, who had a really kind of easy entrance against Bangladesh, just the first one that kind of comes to mind. And then he had a really tough time against the Aussies. But all of that kind of helps to build your character. And at 25, he's still kind of malleable enough to learn from some of these mistakes that he's making. So I'd keep him around back in and around the squad. I'd probably keep him in the team as well. And I think the more experience he gets, the more he gets to kind of play in these environments, I think the better he'll be. So I'd stick with him.
Imi, you weren't the only one. The comment from Imi, he's having a little fit. You weren't the only one. I wasn't taking a cheap shot at you. Akbar was. You don't see Akbar crying. He's the one who's talking about seeing the new ball off. So I was actually having a go at you, Akbar.
No, I know you were. I know you're passive aggressive about it.
I'm passive aggressive. It's Hulk. He's the one who's just Mr. Aggressive.
I don't know where you get that from, bro.
I defended Abid because I think in conditions like New Zealand, as Imi says, or maybe as other people might say, I think if you're going to New Zealand, I think a big part of your role is to try and see off the new ball. And I think he did that, but of course he didn't score runs. So I think he did half his job, if that, which is why I probably gave him like 3 or 4 out of 10 for that series. Here, your job is a lot different, okay? The new ball bowlers shouldn't trouble you as much. So your job is to score runs, and he didn't do it. So yeah, I can't make excuses for Abid. That's why I've not really got much of a comeback to that comment, because he hasn't done his job. Simple as that.
Yeah, and also he was playing at home, so you can't use the fact that where in New Zealand he was playing conditions that he might not have been used to at home. These are the conditions that he grew up on from the domestic scene. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Mohamed's team does.
Yeah, he got a 4 and a 10 in the first Test, and in the second one got a 6, and that 6 was the most awful innings I've seen in my life. 43 balls of pure torture, and in the second innings he got a 13.
Yeah, he didn't get anything of note at all. Just a quick point on this question here, in case I miss it. Adil saying, when do the 2020s start? So in UK time, it's 1 p.m. In Pakistan, it's 6 p.m. And just moving on to have a look at some of the middle orders. So Faisal's Brahim saying, which 2 players would you say were the highlight for Pakistan? For me, they were Fahim and Rizwan. Yeah, so I think, Omar, you touched on Fawad, being out in the wilderness for what, 10, 11, 12 years. He made a century over in New Zealand, but now he came over here, the homecoming first test over in Karachi, which is his home ground as well. To get that century when he came in, when we were about 27 for 4, I think. The team's crumbling around him. We've seen that before. To have that character, that temperament to stick there, and he had that intent as well. He wasn't just block. Where we've seen this before with Pakistan, where that just puts on more pressure. You just can't. You just can't give him think of any more accolades to give him. Really, I think we should make there should be a movie made about the guy. Really.
Oh, Bhaskar yaar.
Come on, man.
I think an hour of that movie will probably just go on his batting stance more than anything else. But yeah, to be honest, I'll happily admit it. I was never I wouldn't even say a fan. I wouldn't say biggest. I was probably never a fan. It's probably never him for coming back in. Simply, it's probably wrong, but simply because of his age. Because I felt like we kept doing the same thing, bringing back 30, 32, 33-year-olds, and they normally never perform. And then after the England series, I was just like, okay, that's it. He's got to be done now. But then he went to New Zealand. He almost got us, I know it's probably setting the bar really low, almost got us a draw. And then obviously in the first test, he got a century. And then in the last test, in the second test, he got some runs as well. So his hard work has paid off. And onwards and upwards, hopefully he can score many more runs for the next few years. I think he'll be around for another 2 or 3 years, probably. His fitness he's probably one of the fittest guys in the team.
Yeah.
Or like Wasim Akram likes to say, one of the fittest guys in the Pakistan side. Says that about everybody.
I mean, looking at that middle order now, where you have obviously you have Babar, then you've got Fawad, Rizwan, Fahim as well. Doc, how much confidence does it give you that when we get to there after the openers have fallen away, that you have that confidence that that these guys are going to stay, and one or two of them are going to make a score. It takes you back to the time of Mohammad Yusuf, Inzamam al-Haq, Misbah. It takes you back to that time, doesn't it? Really, I know that we can't obviously compare at this point because they're in the infancy, but the stage is set. The only way is up for them, really.
You'd think so. I mean, our top 3 run scores were Fahim and then Fawad and then Rizwan. So 7 and then 6 and 7, then 5, 3 and then 6. And so the only thing I would say is that obviously, as happy as we are that they're doing well, and inshallah, long may it continue. Against better teams, I don't think you can be 20 for 3 every game and expect to get away with it. Now, obviously, let's not forget, and obviously this is not a South Africa show, but South Africa, they're not as good as they once were. The backup kind of bowlers, maybe when they got us 20, 30 for 3, didn't quite keep the pressure on. And there will be better teams that we play against that don't let us off the hook quite as much. So it just in one way, it's brilliant that they're doing it, but in another way, it just underlines how important it is that we get that top order batting sorted. And when I say top order, I'm not even that worried about, as that I'm really meaning it's the openers for me.
Yeah, definitely. Just touching a point here that Omar's made, it infuriates me when all the commentators bang on about his stance. If he's scoring and playing long, who cares? 100% I agree with that. I don't care how he bats. If he's scoring runs, that's all that matters. You look at Steve Smith, you look at Chanderpaul, and I'm sure there are other batsmen as well who've made runs who don't have a textbook stance. So they're not that aesthetically pleasing to see, shall we say? But as long as he's making runs, surely that's all that matters at the end of the day. No matter how he's batting, no matter how he holds his bat, Hamza. We've spoken again about Fawad at length on this, and what do you make of him now? You've seen him a little bit in the England series, but then you've seen him at New Zealand and the South Africa series. What do you make of him now? Has he solidified his place for the next year or so at least?
Yeah, I think so. The nice thing is he made runs in different conditions, so no one can say, "Oh, you just did it in Asia or something." He just did it in Pakistan. He did it in New Zealand as well against a very good bowling attack, and then again against South Africa and a very good bowling attack, or seam attack especially. Anyway, so I think that we need to sort of just put the Fawad debate to bed now. Just enjoy having him in the team for the next 3 years or however long we get out of him. But you think about him, you do need slightly more expansive batsmen around him. I can't imagine a long and fruitful partnership between, say, Fawad and Azhar. If you had those two batting together, they'd be batting all day and they'd make 100 runs. So you'd need sort of like a Babar or a Fahim or a Rizwan batting with Fawad. His scoring rate is quite low. Not that it really matters. It's just to say that he needs someone not like him at the other end.
Bit more
Yeah,
fluent.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point that you make, Hamza. I just want to go through some of the comments quickly, and then we'll move on to the player performance ratings. So Rayan saying that Azhar to open, Sean to return, or Abdullah to debut. Yeah, we've spoken about that as well. About maybe Azhar needs to go bump himself up from number 3 up to open.
Not Sean. You can't. Don't, Sean and Abid. Let's just get rid of them. They're both rubbish fielders as well. That's the other thing.
I think pushing Azhar up to open opens up the door for someone at the number 3, which is, we've spoken many times about Saud Shakil. So I hold my hand up. I've never seen him bat in domestic cricket, but I know you guys have, and you've spoken about him so many times. He's in the squad, but unfortunately he didn't get a game. So hopefully in Zimbabwe he'll get a game and he'll be able to show his worth there. Let me just run through some of these. Adam saying, can we become number 1 test team under Misbah? Inshallah.
Because we've got that schedule that we spoke about. We've got some of the teams that don't like playing in the subcontinent at home, and we've got the somewhat easier teams to play away from home. So there's a good article on Crick Info about it, and it's doable. We just need a bit of consistency, which is obviously very difficult.
Yep. Shazeb saying, anyone worried about Babar's style against left arm spin? Yep, we'll come on to that in a few minutes. But I think the main thing with that is that he's got out 3 times to Maharaj. The other 4th time was out to Nokia, but at least it's been identified, I suppose. So he has time now to work on it. If it is indeed a weakness, really, I don't know if it actually is, but at least we've seen it, so he can work on it behind the scenes with Yunus Khan and Mohammad Yusuf. Mumtaz is saying, I think we need a cleanse in time for the Zimbabwe series, bring in the youngsters so we can start implementing the long-term plans in time for the big teams, Abdullah, Saud, etc. So I think that's one of the things that Mohammad Wasim's actually started to do, hasn't he, where he was coaching the domestic side, really. Omar Hamza, I'm going to throw this open to you. How do you think that Mohammad Wasim's performed since he's come in? I know he's only been in for 1 series, but what do you make of him so far?
Omar, do you want to go first?
You getting it, Hamza?
No, I said you go first.
What I was going to say is, I think he's doing what everyone has always wanted, or has always said, pick the domestic performers. So he's doing that, so nobody can really point the finger at him to say he's not picking these guys. So now, if, like, for the likes of Imran Butt, if he doesn't perform, it's only on Imran Butt. It's not on Misbah, it's not on Mohammad Wasim, it's not on the PCB. So if he carries on with this, picking guys from domestic cricket and not bringing back the old guard and dropping guys that are failing, then obviously it's on them to perform.
Yeah, definitely. Hamza?
Yeah, so Misbah, the thing is, I'm not sure about Abdullah Shafiq being in the national setup. Certainly not for Test cricket. I think you can throw in a fast bowler out of nowhere who's sort of played a couple of first class, and you're like, wow, this guy's good, like Naseem Shah. I really don't want us to start doing that with batsmen. The sort of like, who was that 15-year-old that we used to play? Hassan Raza.
Hassan Raza,
14? Yeah. I don't want us to go back to that. Yeah, Abdullah Shafiq's literally played 1 first class match. Let him have a full season in domestic. I want us either to sort of put. I think Azhar's 34, 35. I reckon there's a good shout for him to say, look, for someone to tell him, look, the remaining 2-3 years of your career, just open. Just see out your career as an open. You've got a good record, and then we'll find a partner for you, probably Imam or someone like that, and then that'll free up some space for Saud or Cameron Ghulam to battle for the middle order or something like that. I think Shafiq, just let him go into domestic. I'm not a fan of just chucking a batsman in like that.
Okay. We've got some breaking news here as well. So we've got Amy who's saying that he's going to come out in public and he's got a big dark secret to announce to everyone. So, Amy, this is live, by the way. It's going to go down in history. I apologize to Fawad for doubting him. He has proved me wrong. It takes a big man to admit his faults. Well done, Amy. The last comment now before we move on to the performance ratings. Bilal saying Sean and Imam should come back. So Imam, yes. Sean for me is an absolute no. Reason being, what I saw of him in New Zealand when he didn't make much of a score, but in the field when you drop catches, to have a laugh and not feel any sense of pride, really, for me that's a complete no. And I've struck him off the list. He's not even in the reckoning for me. He did that repeatedly, and when you do that, when you're not proud to wear the star on your chest, forget you. Done and dusted. Hulk smash all the way. Jimmy's giving a shout out there for himself.
No, Imi.
Jimmy's giving it to Imi there, yeah.
Jimmy's giving it to Imi.
Jimmy and Imi. Okay, so let's move on to the player ratings. So let's see if this works. Okay, so we've got all 11 there. So we played the same 11 for both the tests. So I'm going to start with you, Doc, with Imran Butt. We've spoken a little bit about him. What did you make of what rating would you give him?
Yeah, it's difficult because obviously he wasn't at the crease long enough, really. Obviously, we've seen a bit of his technique in domestic cricket, and there's an element of him being a little bit loose outside off stump. Again, it's difficult to say he got out to a short ball. Certainly on the first evening, which was kind of quite difficult to face, and not something you would have expected on day one of a test match. I mean, his scores, as we mentioned, were 9, 12, 15, and 0. That's nothing to write home about. He took 6 catches, and some of them were pretty good catches as well. So I was kind of hovering between 3 and 4. I'd probably give him a 4 if I'm being nice because it's his debut. But then equally, we're just looking at performance. We're not here to be nice for no reason. So I'm going to go with a 3, but I definitely keep him in the team because I think this is it's far too soon to be making judgments on a player after 2 test matches. That's we've got to give him a bit longer.
Okay, so we've opened up with a sorry, was that a 3 there that you ended up on, Doc?
3, actually, yes.
Sorry, 3, yeah. So Imi saying 4. We've got Omar saying 4 as well, and so Shazib saying that, like you said, if it wasn't for his catches, it would be 2.5. I gave him a 3 as well. Omar, Hamza, any advance on that? Or are we sticking with 3?
I gave him a 4 to be nice, Doc. Gosh, what's wrong with you?
That's the difference, isn't it?
Omar, we're not here to be nice, be harsh, be brutal. We're not here to make friends.
No, I gave him a 4 just for to be like Shazam said, just for his catching. He took some good catches at some very important times. So I said 4. There is a little bit there with his batting. I think he will come good. I think from the little bit we have seen, I think he will come good.
Okay, Hamza.
Yeah, I'd give him a 4 because I know you're a batsman, but part of being in the team is fielding as well. So that bumps him up to a 4. His batting was a 3, but I'm going to give him a 4. If I'm honest, in 6 to 12 months' time, I'd be surprised if he's still in the national team because his batting's just it doesn't look that good to me. But we should stick with him for now, and I'd give him a 4.
Okay, so I know, Doc, you were hovering between a 3 and a 4, but I think we'll go with a 4 with that because we've had a couple of some of the viewers as well saying that you should have a 4 as well. I'm going to move on to Abid Ali now, and I'm going to go over to you, Hamza. One of your favorite players. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 0 because I think that's a fair score. He's been nothing with the bat and nothing in the field. So and he dropped a couple as well, I think. So yeah, 0.
And you advance on 0 there. You've got Shazib saying 2.
Again, I'm with Shazib. I'm going for a 2 because in that first test, at the end of day 2, when he took 2 very sharp catches, they were Van der Dussen and Markram had a good partnership going on, and he did take a couple of sharp catches. So we'll give him a 2. Well, I'll give him a 2, and then you and Doc can.
Oh my God.
Okay, so we've got being nice. Omar saying 0 again, harsh but true. Imi's giving him a 0 as well. Shazib saying his first innings catches have actually saved him, and the Brace is saying give a Pakistan a 0.
There you go.
We've got another 0 for him there as well. Wow. Doc, what did you? Is there any advance on 0 for you?
Well, do you remember I gave Harry Sahel 1 in New Zealand just for like writing his name on the exam paper? Albert gets 1 for writing his name on the exam paper, and he was involved in a run out. Wasn't there a direct hit? I think Bavuma, I can't remember now. Either point or mid wicket, I can't remember, but it was a direct hit. So I gave him 1 for the run out. I mean, he's not going to play in the next test, so it doesn't really matter. But I gave him a 2 because he took the shine off the new ball in the final innings.
Yeah, I didn't know you were such a troll. Like, you're a little troll.
So I'm going to actually give him. I'm going to put him down as a 2. I think he wrote his name down on the team sheet properly, and he did take a couple of good catches. We'll give him a 2. Let's move on to.
Sorry, I was going to say he seems like quite a popular member of the team. I know that doesn't get him many points, but he seems like he's quite popular amongst the lads as well. So I don't know. Sometimes there you get these kind of like Emil Heskey was a good kind of good man to have around in the dressing room kind of thing. So I don't know if he's Pakistan's Emil Heskey, but yeah, maybe he gets a point for that.
Maybe, yeah, that bumps him up to a 2. Let's talk Azhar Ali. So Omar, what would you give Azhar? How do you think he played at batting at number 3?
Okay, I gave Imran a 4, so it's gonna have to be 1 up at least. Azhar Ali 150. He got 30 odd as well. I give him a 5. It was two failures, 2 successes, kind of small scores. He helped with the partnership in the first test with Fawad, so I'm gonna say a 5. It wasn't his best series, but he did contribute. He did score some runs. He helped us get out of a tight spot a couple of times. So I think a 5 is fair.
Okay, I had a 6, but I was in between 5 and 6. I'm happy to go to a 5. Doc?
Yeah, I actually gave him a 5. Looks like everyone's given him a 5, or almost everyone, which is it's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I gave him a 5 as well. I mean, the second innings 30 wasn't bad either. So don't forget in the second test, sorry. In that second innings, we were 70 odd for 5, and looking like we were going to get bowled out in a session or something. So his 30 odd in that, when you look at the eventual winning margin, I'll come back to this in a bit as well. But the eventual winning margin, some of those second innings runs in hindsight actually look really important. When at the time we just thought, we're miles ahead now. We could declare and we'll still win. So yeah, I gave him a sort of 5, just like you guys.
Okay, I'm gonna put 5 down. That's majority of what the viewers think as well, Hamza. Unless you desperately want to give him a 9.
No, 5's good. He's had a couple of average series. England, he started off badly, and then the sort of second test was all right. Made the 100. So yeah, I'm looking for more from him though. Senior guy. You're looking for more than a 5, but yeah, it was a 5.
It's you know what Hamza's saying about looking for more. Just looking at his conversion from 50s to 100s, there's quite a gap, isn't? I don't know if anybody's seen it recently. There is quite a gap, and he sometimes gets really big 100s, and he gets a triple ton like he did against West Indies. He got a double ton in Australia, was it? But then a lot of times he gets 50 and he gets 60 and he gets out where you expect him to get 130, 140, 150.
33 50s, tests. How many hundreds have you got? Yeah, I think 33 50s and 17 centuries.
Yeah. The conversion, it's almost 1 out of 2, but yeah.
I mean, the only thing I would just add about that is that let's not forget, at any one time, an entire batting lineup's not going to be kind of 9 out of 10 at one time. You're always going to have players that are performing well and players that are performing not so well. So what you don't want, obviously, is everyone performing badly at one time, which thankfully hasn't happened, thanks to the lower middle order. So that, I don't mind. I mean, we'll come back to it, I'm sure, with Shaheen to an extent, that you don't mind the odd player having a quiet series. If you know that he'll come, I'm not worried about it. So he had a quiet series, but yeah, I don't think any of us are worried about him long term, especially if he goes up to open. He averages higher there anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to put that into context, Yunus has got almost an equal number of 50s and 100s.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Mohammed Yusuf, for context, is 33 50s, 24 100s. So a bit better, not as good as Yunus, but yeah, his conversion's poor.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see how Azhar fares, on subsequent home series as well, with conditions that he obviously knows. Okay, let's move on to Captain Saab Babar. So we have to bear in mind that Babar's obviously coming back from injury with a fractured thumb. Still haven't found out who it was that actually did the throwdown swim. So we've still got the Stani Army scouts looking for that. So in the first innings, he only, he made single figures. He was at LBW to Maharaj, and he actually left the team on 26 for 3 after we'd got South Africa out for 220. And the second innings, when we were chasing less than 100, he came in at 23 for 2. There was a bit of a wobble, but he steadied the innings with a 30, and he got out to Maharaj again, LBW, and he reviewed on both occasions too. Second test, first innings, again he came in, as we expect him to do, at 21 for 2. So we had to study the innings yet again, and this is where we start to see glimpses of the Babar of old, where he had a good partnership with Fawad. Babar actually made 77 with 12 boundaries. But unfortunately, the third session was rained off, so the momentum was lost. So he came back in the day 2 in the first session. He was actually out, unfortunately, on the second ball. Now, he's done that on more than one occasion where he carries his bat overnight and he's out very quickly on the first session of the next day as well. In the second innings, he came in again quickly at 28 for 2, and we needed to increase the 100-odd lead that we had. But he was out LBW again to Maharaj. I know that we've spoken about this in the comments as well about his susceptibility to left-arm spin. Captaincy-wise, I think he did okay. Bear in mind, it was his debut series as well, because obviously he was injured out in New Zealand. He was under pressure in both test matches when South Africa were threatening to run away with the game in the second innings, but he didn't panic. And I think that the bowlers obviously repaid him by getting the breakthroughs and wrapping up the innings. The only real criticism I have of him, though, is when we had runs on the board, he could have maybe had an extra fielder or 2 round the batsman to increase the pressure. So putting all that together, I gave him a 6. And Imi is saying that he gave him a 6 as well. Disappointing with the bat, but won both tests as a skipper. Led us as well, used his resources well. We've got Omar saying 6 as well. Good captaincy in the first test. Looks like he wanted to score runs. He did make obviously 1 score with that 77. Needs to improve on that 5th stump waft. But I liked his attempt. Yeah. Any advance on 6 from anyone?
No advances on 6, but with Babar, especially in that first test when I was talking about them arbit catches, he could have easily just spread the field because they were on top. They had a good partnership going. He could have spread the field last few overs of the day, but he didn't. He kept attacking. He kept searching for wickets, and in the end, it paid off. And obviously, we went on to win the test. We went a long way to winning the test match. So, same for me. It's probably a 6.
Okay. We've got a stat here from Rayan who says that Babar against the test. SLA. So, what does SLA mean?
So left arm.
Oh, slow left arm. Sorry. Test is 14 tests. ODIs it's 152, and T20 is 72. I'm assuming this is average, isn't it? Not strike rate.
The one thing I will say about Babar, I cannot remember him playing a slog sweep or any sort of a sweep, and that's the go-to shot that Yunus used to pull out against all spinners, and he'd drive them mad. And Azhar plays a good slog sweep as well. So I was surprised. I don't know if anyone in the comments or anyone here can say, but I don't remember him playing a single sweep in the whole series.
I don't remember him. He plays the odd lap, but he doesn't actually, how
Yunus used to teaching that slog
gets
sweep.
low and he just literally gets the shovel out. He doesn't do none of that. He does play the odd lap, but like you said, it's especially if we're going to be playing so much cricket in
Home
subcontinent.
now.
You're gonna have to get it out.
Right. I know in the comments we've had a couple of people giving him 7. I'm I'm hesitant to give Babar 7 purely because he made 1 score, obviously 77. But I can't push him up to a 7. Does anyone else? Sorry.
No, you can't score in 1 innings in 4 and get a 7.
I was thinking of 7, and I thought there were good aspects of his captaincy that I liked. So the bowling changes, I felt like he got them right pretty much all of the time. The only thing I thought of, he was on the last day, the last over before lunch, Markram was in the 90s and Fawad Alam was bowling. And I thought, hold on, this is not the time to be bowling Fawad. Yeah, you might want a golden arm to get a wicket, but Markram was under a lot of pressure, and I wouldn't have bowled Fawad at that time. And also, I don't think he reviewed particularly well. Obviously, I know some of that is on the keeper, but if you think of the LBW in one of the tests anyway, late on day 3 or day 4, there was an LBW against Bavuma when Bavuma had about 4 lives, and one of them was an LBW shout that we probably should have reviewed. So I'm happy to go with the majority of 6. But if we could give 6.5, I would.
We'll give him 6.4 and round it down.
Yeah, his captaincy was very good, I thought.
His captaincy was good, yeah. And as I said, he was under pressure in both the test matches, and he could have crumbled then, but he held his fort there. So I think he did well there. But we'll give him a 6. The only way is up for him. Just while I'm updating that, Doc, we're going to come to you with the charismatic Fawad Alam.
Yeah, I'm really happy with Fawad, and good to see. There will be some people thinking that maybe he would have just shone against New Zealand and then he'll be on the way down again. But he did really well. That 100 in the first innings when we were 27 for 4, I think, and South Africa had made 220 odd. That was a huge innings. Then he hit the winning runs in the second innings. He got quite an important 40 odd in the first innings of the second Test match again when we're 20 odd for 3. So he got important runs at important times. Shame he got run out. So he got run out in the third innings of the series, and then he got a low score at the end as well. So I gave Fawad 7, just because in that second Test match could have gone on. And he's good, but he's not perfect. So he gets a 7 from me.
Yeah, I agreed with that. I think that he came in sometimes when the innings could have crumbled if he lost his wicket cheaply, and he held the innings together and he made a score as well. So I give him a 7 as well. Any advances on that? We've got Mumtaz saying Fuad's got 7. Bilal's actually pushing him up to an 8. Imi saying Fawad is a 7. Played well, but was disappointed with the second innings at Bindi. Yeah. Omar Hamza, any change from you guys? Or are you happy for me to put him down as a 7?
No, 7's good. 7's good.
I'm tempted to give him an 8 for that 100. But thing is, those numbers don't look huge, 100 and a few contributions. But when everyone's scoring low, you make 100. That's a big deal. So I think it's worth an 8.
Okay, we've got a few 7s. We've got a couple of 8s. Fuad first innings determined the whole series. I think I'd give him
most
an 8.
of the comments are 7s. Oh, a couple of 8s actually just come in.
I've got about 3 8s. Fuad 8 came into back tough situations every time, and even his low scores were important. Okay. I think we've had mainly 7s in the studio here, and we've had mainly 7s, I think, in the comments. We've had a few 8s, to be fair, but I think the majority rules as a 7 here.
So 7 is good. That's not 7 is perfectly acceptable. 8 for me, 8 is kind of when you start thinking man of the series type things, and then 9 or 10 is just absolute superstar kind of territory for me. So 7 is fine. If Fawad is 7 out of 10, most series will be okay, and he'll be okay.
Definitely. I'm still hoping for him to get a 10 out of 10 at some point this year. And I will make sure he gets that. Let's move on to, just while I update that, let's move on to Fahim Ashraf, sorry. Who should we go to? Let's go to you, Hamza.
I'd give Fahim 8. Yeah, he's really good. Just the one thing just bugging me a bit, how his bowling slowed up. It's just a bit irritating because his bowling he used to be about 136, 138 kilometers an hour, and his batting suddenly shot up, and he's good, and his bowling down at about 130. So, but he's bowling with good control though, which is really good. That's a useful trait as a captain. That you've got a bowler you can bring on, and he's not going to get tonked around. He's not going to get a fifer. And his batting's just sort of, he just looks like someone new now, whether it's Mohammad Yusuf or Yunus Khan. But yeah, I'd give him an 8.
Yeah, so we've got Omar here agreeing with you on that, Hamza. Fahim an 8 for his batting. Bowling was decent, got some key breakthroughs, and was getting a lot of movement on day 5 second test. Things are on the up though. Yeah, I mean, I was having a look at his figures earlier on today, and he got some good scores. And from a bowling perspective, even though he didn't get 10, 12, 15 wickets, his economy rate was really good. So it just shows that as a fifth bowler, he's not leaking runs. He can hold up one end. He can be used there, to help to rotate the bowlers around, really, because as a batsman, sometimes you're always looking for who's the weaker bowler, who can I target, and normally they'll always target that fifth bowler. But if we've got someone like Fahim who can hold up that end, the pressure's relentless then. So for me, he was an 8 as well. We've got Imi saying Fahim's a 8 as well, my player of the series. Contributions with the bat, control of the ball, wonderful. Bilal here saying Fahim also gets an 8, needs to get more from his bowling. Okay, and Shazib saying 8 Fahim, comment spot on. So, Doc, Omar, just before I go to some of the other comments, any advance on 8? So I gave him an 8 as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's funny, we're all on the same page here. I've given him an 8 as well. So that economy rate you talk about was 2.4. It's brilliant. And apart from Norman Ali, that was the best economy rate of all of our bowlers. And actually, even though he bowled maybe half the overs Shaheen did, he actually bowled more maidens than Shaheen. So I know it's not just bowling dry. You want him to take wickets as well. But when you've got wicket takers, you've got Yasser, you've got Hassan Ali, and the rest of them. It is nice to kind of block up an end. And obviously, we've talked about, look, 4-man attacks, 5-man attacks, and I'm sure we'll talk about that another day. But if you've got a 5-man attack and the fifth bowler is at least keeping it tight, if not getting loads and loads of wickets, then that's what you want to see. And his batting was, look, he scored so many important runs at so many important times. So, yeah, I agree with the guys. 8 out of 10. Really, really good showing.
Yeah. HR Gamer says, if Fahim bats well, it all gets passed down to the tail, and they bat so well with him. That was very key in both the test matches for Fahim Ashraf and 8. Yeah, 100%. You know, time and time again, he's going to be batting with the tail, and for him to still be getting those runs there, I think was brilliant. And I think that normally, historically, I've always thought of the South African tail as the one that wags quite a bit. But in this series, it was actually the other way around. I think there were a few times where our tail actually put on 80, 90, 100 runs, and you wouldn't normally associate that with the Pakistan tail. So I think that was a breath of fresh air. It was really good to see that. Ali saying 8 defo for Fahim. He's improved a lot. Only thing he needs to do is when he's batting with the tail end, is he needs to face more deliveries and score quickly. He should talk to Abid Ali then. Abid's quite good at facing deliveries. I think he did that in the second innings. So there has been talk in the media about Fahim's been spending time with Mohammad Yusuf, and that's obviously definitely helped his game. So, you know, maybe there's scope there for Mohammad Yusuf to talk to some of the other batsmen as well. I'm going to be putting him as an 8 there, unless you disagree with that, Omar.
No, 8 for me as well.
Okay, just while I'm updating that, I'm going to come to you, Omar, to talk about Mohammad Rizwan.
Mohammad Rizwan, best wicketkeeper in the world, but
oh, whoa, there's a but.
But I think his keeping was a bit. He did make a few mistakes. I think batting was brilliant, awesome. As a wicketkeeper, we couldn't ask for any more. Come in the last test, effectively won us the test match with the bat. His runs were the ones that made the difference in the end. But I think you guys are speaking about Barber and DRS. Rizwan is in the best position for DRS and taking reviews, and including the New Zealand series. I don't think we've had one go positive. I think Nav's gonna love this one. Under Safraz, we were actually top of the tree for reversals of DRS at one stage. I couldn't give you the exact numbers, but I do remember that we were very good at reviewing. But recently, we haven't been very good, and I think Rizwan's been the keeper. Obviously, we're not completely blaming him, but I think the DRS.
That's nice to know that we're not completely blaming him.
But we are a little bit, since we are speaking about Rizwan. But yeah, batting was brilliant. But keeping, because he's got such high standards, I thought he did make a few mistakes, and they could have been costly, but in the end they weren't. I'm giving him a 7.
Okay, good opener. We've got Omar saying Rizwan 8, batting really good, not that great in advising for reviews, as you've mentioned, Omar. Shazeb saying Rizwan an 8 for me. He made some crucial decisions when it came to DRS. Cost us some wickets, but the batting was great though. And Imi saying Rizwan is a 7 for me. Keeping not his usual standard, but what a player. Doc, Hamza, what did you make of Rizwan?
Yeah, definitely. His keeping wasn't as good as usual, but that's just because I think we just have really high standards. If that was Safraz or, God forbid, Cameron behind the stumps, we'd be
Don't even say it. I'm going to kick you out.
Basically, any other keeper would be like, that's a solid performance. But with Rizwan, we know how good a keeper he is. So, yeah, every time he kind of drops one where you think he should take it, you're like, what's going on here? But he basically, like we always say, the batsmen set it up and then the bowlers take the wickets. And that second test, that 100, basically set it up for the bowlers to have just enough cushion that even though South Africa were like 200 and whatever for 3 or something, we still were like, okay, we can still do this. Whereas if we didn't have the runs, that test would have been all over. So Rizwan's an 8 for me. I think he's up there with Fahim, sort of standards and quality of and contributions.
Okay,
and some of the comments from Rizwan, some of the chatter, the stump mic stuff was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely deserves an 8. Just those comments.
Okay, yeah. So we're looking at if you give him an 8, then we're saying that he's on par with Fahim Ashraf there as well. I gave him a 7 actually, which we're putting him on par with Fawad, but we're getting the majority of the comments here. So obviously, Umar, Hamza, you both said 8. The majority of the comments are saying 8 as well. Bilal
said 7.
Umar said 7, I think.
Sorry, Umar. Umar started off with 7. Hamza's bumped up to an 8, but I think some of the comments are they are pushing him up towards an 8. Bilal saying Rizwan's an 8, keeping 1 or 2 chances gone down, not reliable with his reviews. Agree with Umar, except it's an 8, not a 7. Ali saying Rizwan would have been my man of the series, but he just missed out because his vice captain and his DRS decision making was poor. He gets 8.5 on that. So just a quick point on that. So I obviously saw the ones where I can't remember who the batsman was, but there was a bouncer and it hit the batsman's gloves, and then he didn't appeal and he said it wasn't out. I remember on the watch along, Cal was on the watch along, and he said that he made a really good point that whether he thinks that we should review it or not, everyone else is jumping up. You should always appeal and see what the umpire actually does. And if the umpire says not out, that's the point. Then when you start to talk to your team and you say, was it out? Was it not out? But initially, when everyone else appeals, you should appeal really, because otherwise the umpire is going to look directly at the keeper. The keeper's not bothering jumping up and down, so he's going to say, "Oh well, I'm not going to give it out." Then if he has the element of doubt, so that was a good point by Cal. But I'm a bit surprised that people are saying that it's all down to Riz though, because how can you say it's all down to Riz to say that yes, we take the DRS, we go for a review or not? There are other people there as well, including the captain, the slips as well. So I think we've been quite harsh on Riz for the DRSs really, and just putting it all on him. So I'm not accepting that. Sorry, guys. HR Gamer says Rizwan's a 9 for me. Won the second test match. The few mistakes he missed weren't costly, but we know he can improve. And Imi saying, I think he mentioned that it was hard to adjust as he came from New Zealand and the bounce was so different. The Braze is saying he's an 8. His batting was too important to give him any less. Yeah, so he made a century in that. I think was that in the first test that he made the century. Was it in the second? Sorry. Okay, the second test. Yes. So he's part of that core kind of middle order, that core lower middle order, isn't he? Ali's saying so. Ali's disagreeing with me and you, Umar. He's saying no way is he a 7. He's an 8. He's given him 8.5. And Shazeb saying, luckily Cal isn't here reviewing Rizwan. We all know what happened on the watch along. Yeah, that's a good point. Doc, what's your take on Rizwan? It seems to have quite a bit of debate around this one.
Yeah, I know. I think he's obviously a favourite for a lot of people, which is good because obviously he's just a lovable figure within the team, and he's kind of the heartbeat of the team at the moment. But if you look at kind of the cold hard facts of the scores that he got and the few things that didn't quite go right, I think people are being really, really generous, especially if we're kind of giving Fahim 8 and we're giving Fawad 7. I don't see how we can give Rizwan 8.5 or 9. So it's a 7 from me. There was one really, really, really good innings, a couple of not so good scores, and a couple of drops and DRS things that didn't go his way. So 7 for me.
So I think one of the things, so HR Gamer says one of the mistakes, the gloves one, no way Riz could have seen that from behind the bat. People being too harsh on the reviews. I agree with you on that. And I think that one of the other points is one of the other points is a keeper. I've always said a keeper judged on his keeping. He made a couple of mistakes where he dropped a couple of catches, but in the rest of the match he was solid. And even though he dropped those catches, I never for 1 second thought that he's going to drop any more catches. So make the executive decision. I'm going to give him an 8. Yeah, Majority rules. Okay, so let me just update this, and then I'll talk about the next bowler. 1 second. See, this is what Sky Sports normally have to go through as well. Hang on.
Akbar, why don't you tell us about Hassan Ali? Let's start with Hassan Ali. Akbar.
Hang on. Wait. No, wait, hang on 1
I
second.
gotta put my daughter to bed. Hurry up.
Hang on 1 second.
And the bowlers all did fine. They all got 7.
All right. So, hang on. So Hassan Ali. So he came back from injury. That was the last time that he played. Was that in the World Cup?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
It was
Yeah, the
World
World
Cup
Cup,
against
right.
India, I think, wasn't it? So first test in both innings. I don't know if anyone realized this. He had the exact same figures, 1 for 61. I wonder if that's ever been done before. He hit 21 in the first innings, but it was a second test where he kind of came into his own. 5 wickets in the first innings for 54, 5 wickets in the second innings. And then he broke that partnership straight away with a new ball in the second innings when there was a lot of doom and gloom all across the globe with Pakistan fans. Where he got 2 in 2 with Markram and Quentin. So for me, Hassan Ali, I gave him a solid 7. Any advance on 7?
I agree. 5 for 54, 5 for 60. Did really well in that final day. I gave him a 7. Guys, 7 is good. Early in the comments saying Riz got 7. 7 is good, guys. 7 out of 10 will get you through life. It's fine.
We gave Riz 8. Hassan Ali, is Omar saying Hassan Ali 8. Imi saying Hassan is a hard one. Poor first game, but sensational second game. Gets a 7 as he won us that game. Yeah. Whoa! Check this one out.
Your ball bowling wasn't great.
Well, it wasn't the second innings, wasn't it? But initially, yeah. Bilal saying Hassan gets a 10. I called his first innings 5 for on the watch along. On a serious note, though, should be 7. Shazib saying it should be a 7. He changed the game in the second game, but wasn't really there in the first test. Yeah. And then Ali saying, yeah, he gets an 8. So I think 7's winning at the moment. Or what do you guys say?
That was the reason I said 6.
For Hassan?
No, to be fair, I did 6 for all the bowlers because they all were like 1. So obviously Noman and Yasser were good in the first test, and then Shaheen and Hassan were good in the second test. So they both had 1 less below par test, and they had 1 very good test. So if you just put it bang on in the middle and then just add 1, so I gave them all a 6, but everybody else wants to go with a 7.
Okay, the Braves is saying 8 for Hassan. We were struggling for an impact bowler. Great comeback from injury. And Ali saying Hassan is the first bowler to take 10 wickets after 15 years for Pakistan and was also on a hat-trick as well.
If we give Hassan an 8, then he's in man of the series territory. He wasn't man of. I don't think he was man of the series territory.
Agreed.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. HR Gamer saying the timing of Hassan's wickets were fantastic at the start of the day and straight after lunch. Game-changing wickets was costly, but did he get the ball reverse swinging? Hassan an 8 for me. There's a good point. Amy saying, can we all have a minute silence for the pack media who wanted Hassan now after 1 game? So we would do, but we're running out of time. So
only got about a minute left.
So I think the majority on 7 at the moment, unless you guys in the studio disagree with that.
Nah, 7's good. He got a 10 for. I could understand people saying 8 because getting a 10 for is like making 100 or 150.
Yeah.
So he did well, but his first test was so poor. It's like a guy getting 2 ducks and then getting a 150 in the second test. So
okay,
7.
Stick with 7 for Hassan Ali. And Doc, I'm going to come to you. What did you make of the Yasser Shah?
Yeah, it's like Umar said, kind of the opposite really. So Yasser was brilliant in the first test. He made very good anyway. Made some important first innings runs, sort of 40 odd. We made kind of a 380 odd. He got a 3 for, he got a 4 for, and he got 2 of the in that first test match, second inning. He's got 3 of the top 4 as well. So if you remember, South Africa were 175 for 1. They're looking like they were going to get a really big lead, or potentially get a big lead that would be difficult to chase. And Yasser got a few top order players. So for me, he got the same as Hassan. He was then opposite. He didn't do so well in the second test match. So I gave him 7 out of 10.
Okay, just checking mine. I gave him 7 out of 10 as well. Ali saying 6 for him. What about in the studio? You guys, what do you think? 6, 7?
7 for me.
7.
Good first test, not so good second, but 7.
Okay, Bilal saying Yasser's a 6. Shazib is a 6. Yasser is 6.
Yeah, a lot of 6s.
Very good at Karachi, but nothing in Pindi. No one's mentioned he's a Centurion.
In Australia.
In Australia as well, where we struggle. HR Game is saying it's 7. Omar said a 6. Mumtaz is saying 6 as well. Brilliant first test, below par second test. Expected more from him. Yeah, so we spoke about that during the watch on, didn't we? That in the last innings of the second test, Spinner's only got 1 wicket, which he got at the end. Most of the 9 wickets were taken by this Pacers there, wasn't he? The Braze is saying Yasser strangely gets an easy ride from fans and selectors. It's interesting.
He's got a good enough record, especially in Asia, for us to stick with him in Asia.
Yeah.
Also, he's probably our most potent spinner in Pakistan. So that's probably why we're kind of quite easy on him.
Okay, we've got quite a few 6s in the comments. I think in the studio we were more 7s, weren't we? I'm sure you said 7 as well, didn't you, Umar?
No, 6.
Oh, did you say 6? Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna have to go with the majority, and the majority is 6.
It's such a troll in me.
What do they know? I'm joking.
He's not. Guys, he's not joking at all.
Right, just while I sort this out, Noman Ali Hamza, what did you make of Nomania?
Yeah, back to same as Yasser. Good in the first test, not so good in the second. I'm not sure if he's going to be around in 6 months. I think we might have better options. I would give Sajid a go. But he did well for, you can play someone just for a series or 2. Not everything has to be 10-year plans. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not around in 6 months.
Okay.
Hamza, you're quite sinister with these kind of not sure if he's going to be around in 6 months kind of thing.
No, sorry, no. I'm thinking of a joke, but I can't think of a good one.
No. For what it's worth, I gave my mate Norman a 7 as well. I agree.
So sorry. So Hamza, you gave him a 6. Doc, you gave him a 7. Yeah.
I thought Hamza gave 7, but I gave 7.
Yeah, 7.
Oh, you both gave him 7. I actually gave him 6.
And he made some runs in the second test as well. Remember? So.
Yeah. Let's go here. Shazeb saying Nomania gets a 6.5 for me. His batting wasn't bad as well, so bumped that up to 7. Osman saying 7 for Noman, 8 wickets in 2 games, including a 5 for True, and a very important 45 with the bat. Did he actually score 40 or 45 in total? I think that is.
No. He scored 45 in the second test.
Oh yeah.
At that point, we thought, we're 370 ahead. Who cares how many runs we get? In hindsight, that was important.
Mumtaz saying Noman 7, similar to Yasser, give him high because it was a debut and he batted well. Ali saying our spinners should be bowling opposition out for 150 on the 5th day. Yeah, I think that wicket was a bit weird though. That's why
it get worse. It got better.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know we're running out of time, but yeah, the turn didn't come on the 4th and 5th day in our opinion. That's the thing. So I agree. You would think that we'd get 5-ers with our spinners, but the conditions weren't conducive for that. Sorry, to carry on.
Sorry. Bilal saying Noman's also 6, might be the new Zulfikar Babar. Most of our upcoming series on slow wickets. Imi, Noman's a 6. Came to zone in Karachi. Ali, Noman's a 7. And we've got HR Gamer saying Nomania is an 8. Nomania, an 8 for me, a debut with 8 wickets and handyman with the bat. Zulfikar sleeping on that day. I think, man, I was so knackered, after doing all those 4:30 calls, 4:30 alarms in the morning. So as I mentioned, I gave him a 6. I think in the studio we were majority with I've forgotten now. Were we majority 7 or 6 in the studio?
Dark and Hamza 7, me and you 6.
Okay, and then in the comments,
6s and 7s.
6s and 7s.
HR Gamer.
Okay. Well, let me put it this way. Do you think, seeing as we gave Yasser 6, do you think Noman was better or the same as Yasser? Let me put it that way.
He made runs though. Yasser didn't really make runs, did he?
I have the same mark for what it's worth. So if you've given Yasser 6, which of course you shouldn't have, then you give Noman 6 as well, I guess.
Give Noman a 6 as well to say it's the same. I think it was the.
Give Noman a 7 for his 45 because that was handy in the end.
Yeah, but so we're saying that Noman's the same as Fuad Alam. I don't think I'm happy about that.
Yeah, give it a 6. It's a 6.
Our marking is flawed, clearly.
I think he got a 5 for in the first test, but I think a 6 is all right.
A 6. I mean, I think Hamza will let him play for another 6 months before he makes him disappear. Okay, and then last one we've got Shaheen, and we're going to go to you for that, Umar.
Mr. Shaheen Shafri, disappointing for me standards. The standards we've got for him, obviously, we're still only 20, but we can go. We haven't got enough time to go into his workload and etc. etc. I gave him a 6, but hopefully he can improve on that in the next couple of series. I gave him a 6. He only got 7 wickets, but he got important for in the second innings of the second test. Hopefully they can manage his workload a little bit, but onwards and up. He's only 20 years old, plenty of years in them legs. 6 for me.
Okay, it was a 6 for me as well.
6.
Omar saying 6 for you as well, Hamza. Omar saying disappointing, 4.5. Only saw his true skills at back end of day 5, second test. I think he got 4 wickets in that innings, didn't he? Didn't really exploit the reverse as Hassan did. Can't just be new ball bowler. Bilal saying Shaheen got a 5 for him, not up
That's
to
a
the
bit
mark.
harsh.
Shazeb saying
Bowled
Shaheen.
tidily. Yeah, I mean, he
Yeah.
did all right. He did well. He did okay.
Shazeb saying he's a 5 as well. Second innings, second test was the only time he bowled good, really. Imi saying Shane's a 5. Hopefully, we rest him this week for the T20s. We'll find out tomorrow in our watch along. I think it's a bit harsh to give him a 5 because you shouldn't. A bowler like that should not only be judged by his stats, because the fact that he'll hold up on end, he puts the batsman under pressure as well. HR Gamer saying he's a 6. Lots to improve, but bowled very well in second innings. I'll take that executive decision and give him a 6.
Yeah, South Africa didn't even pass 300 in this series. And Shaheen was part of that bowling attack, and I thought bowled quite well. I gave him a 6.
Okay, so just while I update that, last thing is player of the series, guys. Who was your player of the series? Let me just update this so we can have a look at the table in its full glory where it is at the moment. Give me 1 second. There is. Hang on. So if you have a look at the final standing so far, we have. Was that not updated? Sorry, hang on. Sorry, guys. Sky Sports and BT Sports have these same problems. Hang on.
Except you're getting this for free. Not even.
Yeah, exactly. There's no subscription to pay here.
Not yet, anyway.
Yet.
Yeah, not yet. Is that?
There we go.
Is it done? Yeah, okay. The pains of using one monitor at the Briz. Okay, so the highest we've got 2 8s, Fahim Ashraf and Muhammad Rizwan. So I think by that, then that means that one of those is our player of the series. So let's go to the comments first. Imi saying Fahim. Bilal saying Fahim. Ali's being quite political and he's saying Rizwan or Fahim. Pick one, mate. Omar saying Fahim. So for me, it's Fahim as well.
Has to be Rana, Ben, Lance, Fahim, Stokes, Klusner, Botham, Richards, Imran, Ashraf.
So is are you going with Fahim there, Omar? Just checking.
Has to be. Just to confirm.
Shazeb saying Fahim. Mumtaz is Fahim. Rayan is Fahim. Oh, here we go. Ali saying out of the 2 of them, he'd actually give it to Rizwan. HR Gamer is going to have Hamza on his back in a second. He's saying he'd actually give it to So we've got majority Fahim in the comments there. Myself and Umar have said Fahim as well. What about you guys? Doc?
Yeah, Fahim Ashraf, definitely.
Fahim.
Look at the next one. The next comment.
Ashraf Union. Hamza, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd give it to Fahim.
Fahim.
Is he going to be around in 6 months, or you're all right?
He's going to be sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
After Hamza spent a whole day 1 of the series killing him.
Well,
Now the tables have turned.
In football, they talk about pinning these comments up on the dressing room wall, don't they? I reckon that's what they did. One of the lads.
Yeah, I think someone took the newspaper cutting of me saying, I don't like him. Yeah.
That motivated him in the end, didn't it?
Well
Hey.
done.
Okay, let me just see if this works. Has that worked?
Yes.
Well done.
There we go, Fahim Ashraf. So There's definite improvement here from the New Zealand series. I think earlier on today when we were talking about doing this, we said that right, instead of talking about who's got a 2 or a 3, we're going to start talking about 7 or an 8. So that's a massive difference here, really. You know, we've got some 6s, 7s. We've actually got a couple of 8s here between Fahim and Rizwan there as well. Obviously, Fahim making it as our player of the series. I think the official player of the series was it Rizwan? I think
Rizwan,
yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, everyone's happy with Fahim here. Ali's happy with Fahim, and Imi goes Hamza. I'll give it to Fahim. Spot your players on the pitch no matter what, unless the name is Kamran Akmal. Okay, Shazib saying we're going to be finishing off now in a couple of minutes. Fan of the series from this channel goes to Doc for discovering ding dongs and giving me amazing advice on love and marriage.
Was that one of those 7 o'clock lunch break kind of delirious I need sleep sessions? I think it probably was. I'm not quite sure what I said. Apologies.
all I'll say, Doc, is it'll be interesting, if your wife ever finds that video and starts to see what does Akbar actually think of love and marriage.
Yeah. And shout out to Adil for keeping us up to date on the Everton Tottenham score.
Yes.
Yeah.
4-4.
4-4 at the moment on that. We're finishing off now. Thank you very much for everyone who's joined us today, and thank you very much for everyone who joined us during the watch-alongs during the whole South African series. I know in England, obviously, the play started at 5 a.m. or 4:45 a.m. And then obviously in Pakistan, it was 5 hours ahead. But we did have people joining us from the UAE, people from over in Canada. So we had people join us from all over the world. So thank you very much. We love interacting with everyone.
Watch along again tomorrow. Don't forget.
Yep. Imi said here, watch along tomorrow for the T20, 15 minutes before the first ball. So in the UK, as we found out today, our play is going to be starting at 1 p.m. So we'll be live at 12:45 p.m. And in Pakistan, that will be 5:45 p.m. as well.
Billy Jones has just joined us. What's going on?
Billy Jones.
Billy Jones, legend.
Legend Billy Jones.
Join the watch along tomorrow, mate.
YouTube. Billy, there's no excuses. You can still watch it on YouTube. It just won't be live. So watch it and like and share and subscribe, obviously.
Yeah, and it'd be good to get your comments and thoughts on this as well, Billy. So I'll be posting this up on the Stani Army Twitter account later on today.
And let me introduce you to our new digital strategist, Dr. Akbar. We'll be live tomorrow for the watch along. One of the things that we'd love from everyone watching is to obviously, as Hamza said, is like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube. And Bilal said that he's actually watching from South Africa. We are truly global. Do you know that, guys? It's amazing. Like, share, subscribe. Join us tomorrow. And if there's anything that you guys would like to see during the watch-alongs, please let us know on our Twitter. We're happy to evolve. We're happy to listen to everyone. We are fans as well, just like you guys as well. So as a last thing, I just want to say, check this out from Billy. I think is your mate, Hamza. Billy, I gave Abed a 0. I got outvoted. I'm not lying. I gave him a 0.
Billy Jones, legend.
So just as a finish, I just want to go, what are your predictions for the T20s? Doc?
It's like South Africa under 12, so 3-0 Pakistan.
Right. You shouldn't say that. You should just say 3-0. You've already put it up there that we have to win 3-0 now because it's against under 12. Hamza?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think we'll win them all. We should aim for that.
Yep. Omar?
3-0.
3-0 it is. Okay, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Inshallah, we'll see you all tomorrow for the 2020s at 12:45 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, see everyone tomorrow.
We'll say Pakistan.
Zindabad.
Zindabad.